To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
Viewers, and we are getting some big breaking inputs and these are related to the Bengaluru Stampede case. The Central Administrative Tribunal, the Bangalore branch, in fact, Bangalore bench has allowed the application that was filed by IPS officer Vikash Kumar, and his suspension was quashed as well over the stampede near Chinnaswamy Stadium. And now we have some more inputs coming in at this point in time. The CAT, the tribunal, has also directed the government to review the suspensions of two other IPS officers, including Commissioner of Police B. Dayanand, in the same case, suggesting their suspensions could also be withdrawn as these officers did not directly approach the tribunal. Now, this is quite significant and it is clearly, viewers, a setback to the Karnataka government, which had suspended these officers. Instead of taking the responsibility on itself, the Karnataka government, remember, had suspended the police officers. And then one of the IPS officer, Vikash Kumar, in fact, approached the Central Administrative Tribunal, the Bengaluru bench, and his suspension was quashed over the stampede near Chinnaswamy Stadium ahead of RCB team's IPL victory celebration. And not just that, the tribunal has directed the government to review the suspension of two other IPS officers as well. Arunil joining us live right now for more on this. Arunil, this clearly is a big embarrassment for the Karnataka government, that instead of taking the responsibility of what happened outside Chinnaswamy Stadium, had actually put the onus on the police officials there. And look what the tribunal has observed today.
Well, the way the Congress government in Karnataka had behaved, how they basically had given out suspensions to these senior level IPS officers despite going into any part of investigation. In fact, immediately after the stampede, when 11 innocent lives were lost, it was D.K. Shivkumar, the deputy CM of Karnataka, who had openly praised these IPS officers as well as the Bengaluru police force, saying that they had done a fabulous job. Unfortunately, only within a day we saw the Commissioner of Police in Bengaluru, Mr. Dayanand, as well as other two senior IPS officers being suspended. Now here comes a relief for these IPS officers as well. One, his suspension has been quashed, as well as the tribunal has said that we are going to look into the suspension of the other two IPS officers as well. That also includes the then Bengaluru Commissioner, Mr. Dayanand. Now the big question over here is, was the Karnataka government trying to make a scapegoat out of these senior level IPS officers? They basically never took any kind of an onus or a responsibility. Here was a stadium which could hold a capacity of 35,000 people, but more than 3 lakh fans gathered over there. In fact, the permission letter that was given out, it was given out in a local police station in Kaban Park.
Right.
The senior level IPS officers or senior level police officers in Bengaluru were not kept in the loop about it. Many have been speaking about the fact that how D.K. Shivkumar allegedly mounted pressure on the state administration to basically hold...
Arunil, request you to stay on with us. Let me also quickly go across to my colleague Neha Hebale as well, who's live with us right now. One, of course, is the questions that have been raised by the tribunal here on the suspension of police officers. On the other hand, Neha, in very clear words, the tribunal has said that prima facie it appears that RCB is responsible for the gathering of about 3 to 5 lakh people. Take us through the key highlights there, the observations that were made by the tribunal.
Well, yes, Hina, of course, I'd just like to read out one line here from, the tribunal's order, which very clearly, in fact, goes on to say that it appears from, in fact, the perusal of the order, that it's mentioned that pending inquiry found there's been a substantial dereliction of duty. Remember, the Karnataka government initially had suspended these police officers on the charges of dereliction of duty, and now You have the CAT here, of course, calling this out, saying that the aforesaid mention of this, a portion of this order is incorrect. Essentially, of course, not only is this a massive setback now to the Karnataka government here for trying to pin the blame on the police officers there who were on ground, who were on duty, but now, of course, the CAT also here calling out RCB's role in this entire event, RCB's role in having, mismanaged the crowd there, the control, whether it is the government's role. All of this, of course, is something now that's come out from that CAT order. Big relief here to the police officers, of course, in concern, given that, now, of course, their suspensions are going to have to be reviewed by the Karnataka government.
Right. Stay on with us, Neha, as well as Arunil. We have my colleague Sid also now joining us on the broadcast. Siddharth, now the bench, I was just looking at the details here. The bench observed, one, that police did not get time to make arrangements for crowd management since RCB suddenly posted about the event on social media platforms without seeking prior permission. They've also mentioned words like they are neither God nor magician. Also, they do not have magic powers like Aladdin ka Chirag, which was able to fulfill any wish only by rubbing a finger. Very, very important points being made. Take us through the key highlights that you have with you.
Absolutely. So the paras that you just highlighted, Hina, towards the end of this particular order, where the tribunal has absolved the police of any responsibility for what happened on the day of the stampede. But here's a damning paragraph from that very order, where clearly the Royal Challengers Bangalore franchise has been indicted by the CAT, and here's what it says. Therefore, it appears that without obtaining the permission from the police or without the consent of concerned police officers, the franchise of RCB placed the information to the public on social media platforms. The franchise of RCB unilaterally and without consultation with the city police posted a photo at 7:01 a.m. on the official handle of the RCB on Instagram, informing that there is free entry for people and inviting the public to participate in the victory parade, which would commence at Vidhan Sauda and conclude at Chinnaswamy Stadium. The second post on Instagram was made at 8 a.m. reiterating the information. Subsequently, on the 4th of June 2025 at 8:55 a.m., the RCB shared the video clip of Virat Kohli on RCB's official handle in which it was stated that the team intends to celebrate this victory with the people of Bengaluru city and RCB fans on the 4th of June 2025 after the team returned to Bengaluru. Thereafter, the RCB made one more post at 3:14 p.m. on the 4th of June 2025 announcing a victory parade to be held from Vidhan Sauda to the Chinnaswamy Stadium from 5 to 6 p.m. and the victory parade would be followed by celebrations at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. In this post, it was mentioned that free passes or limited entry were available on the so-called website. Until this point, there had been no information regarding the disbursement of passes, implying that the event was open to all, according to the RCB post. The first post received 16 lakh views, and the second post received 4.26 lakh views, and the third post received 7.6 lakh views, while the fourth post received 17. The aforesaid action of the RCB led the public gathering of immense proportion, exceeding 3 lakh individuals. So therefore, responsibility being placed on the franchise for having put out these social media posts, therefore resulting in a situation where the expectations of fans were exceeded. They all turned out in large numbers, way out of proportion to the 35,000 people that the Chinnaswamy Stadium could actually accommodate.
But this is very interesting, Siddharth. The way the details are now emerging, like you mentioned, tribunal literally has absolved the police of any responsibility here. RCB clearly has been indicted. If you will recall, when this story first, came out, we also got reports suggesting how the cops had told the government there that they do not really have the wherewithal to have this kind of an event at this point in time at such a short notice. My question is, who then perhaps allowed RCB to prevail in this case? Is there for anything, any specific observation with regard to the role of the government here that has been made in this order by the tribunal?
Yeah, so Hina, if you actually go through the order towards its end, there's responsibility placed on the government for having suspended these police officers without having done their due diligence. So essentially the order concludes that there was no dereliction of duty as far as the police were concerned in this particular matter. There was no substantial dereliction of duty prima facie, and also there were no sufficient or substantive materials that the government had at its disposal to proceed with the suspension. It says at the time of passing the aforesaid order, there was no convincing material for showing the default or negligence of the concerned police officers. So therefore, the suspensions have been revoked with the complete restoration of all the benefits that these officers are entitled to. But the important point here, Hina, is that the state government of Karnataka also ordered a magisterial inquiry in the immediate aftermath of this particular stampede. The findings of that particular inquiry are yet to be made public because the inquiry is still ongoing, and that inquiry, according to, of course, the terms of that particular inquiry, will of course go into who actually was responsible for that large gathering and whether or not there would be any government negligence as well. So we'll have to wait for that particular order to come out once that inquiry concludes. But for the time being, of course, each of the police officials who had been suspended by the Karnataka state government will be restored their duties as well as their due benefits. Their suspensions have been categorically revoked. There's been no dereliction of duty that's been found, and there's been no criminal negligence on their part. Very importantly, the responsibility for that gathering has been placed entirely on the Royal Challengers Bangalore franchise. So clearly they'll have to answer a lot of the questions, including some of their officials who were already arrested following that particular incident, including Mr. Nikhil Sosle, among others.
Right. Siddharth, request you to stay on with us. We have my colleague Imran joining us live as well. Arunil continues to be live with us as well. Imran, any word yet coming in from anybody from the Karnataka government on the details, on the observations made by the tribunal?
Well, the Karnataka government legal advisor in charge has informed us that the government is upset over the CAT tribunal, and they said that they had overreached as far as the judgment is concerned, and also at the end of the judgment they have asked that to reinstate other officers too. So they say that it was no business of the CAT tribunal to make such observation. They have decided to challenge it in the High Court of Karnataka. The suspension of revoking the suspension of the officers and the reinstating the IPS officer Vikas Kumar, that is will be challenged by the government in the Karnataka High Court, is what the government sources are informing us. Just now we got the information. They have asked the DGP to prepare a cause list for it and challenge it in the High Court to go against CAT's tribunal's order, is what the government sources are informing us.
The Karnataka government, as Imran told us, is planning to challenge this particular order in the High Court. That's what Imran is breaking for our viewers right now. So clearly, we'll have to see how things move ahead in this particular case, Imran. But like Siddharth was also mentioning, that a magisterial inquiry was ordered following the stampede. What happened to that? How soon can we expect a report?
Well, there are parallel investigations happening in the stampede which happened in Bengaluru, and we are right now in Vidhan Soda, where in fact the first event happened, and after that the second event happened in Chinnaswamy Stadium. The stampede happened at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, where there is a magisterial inquiry which is inquiring into that. That report will be submitted in July 17th. They were supposed to submit the report last month, but they sought more time to complete the inquiry, so that there been extension of given time has been given. On July 17th, the report will be submitted. Beyond that, there is a suo motu case. High Court is hearing this matter, which is coming up on 14th of this month, which is High Court is coming. After that, there is a CID which is also inquiring about this stampede issue in this particular incident, and over which now some of the officers who were suspended had gone to the CAT tribunal. CAT has said that they have to be reinstated, but the government says that the CAT has overreached the judgment is concerned, and they're going to challenge it in the High Court, the revoking of suspension. So the Karnataka government is not letting go of it. They will challenge the suspension in the High Court, is what the legal cell in charge is informing us.
Right.
They also asked the DGP to prepare a complete list of it and challenge it in the High Court. So the government is not letting it down. They're saying that the officers are responsible, and they have been what decision they have taken to suspend them was a measured decision, and they have liable for suspension, and the CAT cannot overrule that.
All right. Thank you very much, Imran, Neha, Arunil, as well as Siddharth. Appreciate all of you for joining us with all of those details. Heading into a very, very short break right now. We'll be back.